these conversations, we do them in stages. Stage 1, witnesses. Stage 2, suspects.
What happened at the motel?
Turn that radio up.
What you gonna do?
Nice does, man.
Thanks. We were performing earlier.
I'm performing.
He has lost control. Take a look at him now.
Police was there. There was a lot of shooting.
Police!
You don't talk about this to anyone ever. You understand? It's a war zone out there. They're destroying the city. I'm trying to help here.
Don't say another word.
Come on. I told you what I saw.
What is going on here?
It's not that simple.
I know exactly who you are.
Water here.
That's crazy.
Guys, give another round of applause for this movie. It's unbelievable.
What up, y'all?
First things first, I mean, let's talk about the details of the movie. All of you give unbelievable performances, but I want to talk about what it was like when you first heard that you were going to be a part of this movie, when you got cast to work with Kathryn Bigelow and Mark Bowl. Bigelow, who I think is one of the best directors we have working right now, and doing this story in particular, that sense of responsibility, both to the story and also to the great director that you get to work with.
I mean, I just wanted to work with Will Poulter, to be honest with you.
Dude, that's a low bar, bro. That's a low bar.
Nah, to be honest, though, it's just a blessing, man. It's, some people will call it a dream come true. Just, for me personally, I haven't been in the acting game that long, and to be able to work with Kaitlyn so early, for me, is just kind of like, it's just an amazing blessing for me, and I just take it as that. I don't look at it as anything less or anything more. And then to be able to work with an amazing cast, people on set, whoever they keep it so professional, and don't hold anything back, hold no punches back, and give their whole soul right there in those scenes. It's just amazing. So.
Well, let's talk about how you worked with Kaitlyn, because you deliver a beautiful, heartfelt performance. And the film at certain points really rests on you and certain expressions that you make and your voice, and it adds a soul to the film that is really beautiful and heartbreaking at times. So what was it like as someone who's new to the acting game, sort of working? How did Kathryn work with you? How did she pull this performance out of you?
You know what? The brilliant thing I think Kathryn did is she didn't really direct us too much. She, for me personally, she just put us in a room and was like, pretty much, whatever you want to do and whatever you feel, do it. It wasn't really, you know, it wasn't a lot of pressure because she made it super comfortable, and she didn't try to give me a thing to stick to or anything like that. She just gave me the overall picture of it and then let me find it within those scenes. So
she was sort of going into it like a documentary filmmaker to a degree,
exactly.
creating a setting. And Will, what about you? I mean, most people know you from, I think, your comedy work and being cast in a lot of comedies, and you are not funny in this movie. I mean, maybe there's some sadistic bastard out there who finds it, but it's not fun. It's not funny at all. What was the casting process like for you?
So I think I kind of speak for all of us when I say that the casting process began without any script. None of us actually had the opportunity to read the story beforehand, and actually for some of us would never read the script, full script, right, until after the film. So right, yeah. So that again speaks to this kind of documentary, style of filmmaking again.
Wait, how did that play out? Where to say that you didn't read the script until after the film was done, or are you just getting fed pieces of it while you're making it, or?
Yeah, so perhaps practically, as kind of crazy as that sounds. So the audition process started off with kind of extracts from different movies that either explored race relations or, for me, had some kind of relation to policing. So I think I had scenes from Serpico, and then I also did a scene from, I think, Mississippi Burning, which was cool. It was like an honor to even just perform that kind of stuff. Anyway, and the kind of audition process went on for a while, and then eventually I got to read the script, and I think I got to read the full script because my character is kind of, in a way, a sort of orchestrator of the chaos, so I kind of needed to know the full sick game plan, whereas for some of you guys, it was necessary not to read all of it, right?
I think she wanted all of our reactions to moments and everything to feel real, so nothing to be created or contrived or anything. So
she didn't want you to know what Will was going to be saying or doing?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to a greater extent, what we would be doing in a lot of the rebellion scenes and in the streets, like we had no idea what we were going to see when we stepped onto set, and it kept all of our reactions and all of our like portrayals of these characters truthful, because we were living through it just like the characters did.
How did that play out for you, Kaitlyn?
I mean, it was also insane. I also had different scenes for my audition. I never thought I was gonna get this. I think it was just a dream come true for me too. I had Almost Famous and Boogie Nights scenes from those two films for my audition.
As a Boogie Nights, I think aficionado, what was your Boogie Nights scene?
Oh God, I hadn't even seen and still haven't seen Boogie Nights. I was just kind of.
Girl, come on.
Yeah.
I have a Blu-ray upstairs. You can have it.
Okay, thanks.
Let's all go watch it after this. You guys down?
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Watch Boogie Nights anytime. I'm down. Yeah. What scene did you do? Do you remember?
I don't even. Oh God. I remember like crying in one, and then for Almost Famous, it was the like more flirty scene. So I got two sides of my character in those two scenes, I think.
And that's kind of what your character does a lot. There's some flirty elements to her at the top, and then a lot of crying afterwards.
A lot of crying. I remember crying a lot.
I've never seen anything like it. Like Kaitlyn and Hannah, I mean, practically managed to cry for about 3 weeks straight and stayed in the most intense, emotionally like disruptive headspace for about 3 weeks straight. I've never seen endurance like it on a film set. It was crazy.
It was the first time I'd ever bought puffy eye cream for myself. So I came home with puffy eyes every night.
No, I have to ask, you guys were shooting this movie probably about a year ago, right? That you were in production on the film? And now that's really coming on the heels of Ferguson, well, and Walter Scott, which we even have a direct echo of Walter Scott, I think, at the beginning of this film with your character, Will. What was it like for you to portray something that had such direct, obviously this is a real event as well, but it has such direct parallels to things that are happening right now. How did that feel, sort of portraying those echoes or having those echoes around you?
Yeah, to be honest, it just made it more authentic. We didn't have to search far for inspiration at all. There was a time we were on set and we were doing, JoJo, you remember we was doing this scene where they had to perform at the Fox, and I got kicked out of the group at that. Well, dang, I don't know if I just gave anything away. Well, anyways, there was a time where
I think that's a spoiler people can live with.
Yeah, little spoiler alert. But there was a time where we were scrolling up on our social media and we had seen something of another injustice that took place while we were filming. And it was just like, we didn't have to go far to be able to take that into our scene. And that was really the twisted part about it. And I think that just made it even more authentic and more important to tell, honestly.
And I think with doing something like this, whenever it is a true story, there's always that added weight onto the role where you want to do justice to the people who lived through this. You want to do justice to the people who suffered and were victims of this like horrendous event that happened during this rebellion. And adding that to the social and political ramifications of this film and the climate that we are in as a country, I think it made it the most, profound role or project that I've ever had the privilege, or any of us have ever had the privilege of working on.
Right.
And it made it so much more of a responsibility to tell it right.
And Will, what about you? I mean, in portraying for lack of a better word, a racist cop, and I don't want to oversimplify the character because I think what's so powerful about him as a racist cop is that he actually has a philosophical outlook as to why he is this way. It's wrong, but it makes him a bit more substantial, I think, as this kind of character, rather than just being a mustache-twirling villain. What was it like doing that? I mean, during the Trump campaign, where you have this racist rhetoric coming out of a presidential candidate, as well as all of these other instances of police injustice?
Yeah, I mean, talking about not having to look far into reality to see kind of pretty unfortunate parallels between what we were representing on screen and what's going on. And only just recently, the President of the United States effectively advocated police brutality at a time and specifically in a place like America where we're seeing, a repeat of police brutality cases and police criminality, being met with non-convictions. There's nothing more dangerous than, the president coming out with a statement like that. For me, playing a character of this nature, it was just important to try and, expose that character unapologetically. I saw my role in this as one of exposing racist individuals, and I think that's something that we need to continue to do, particularly when we talk about law enforcement. We can't afford to have racially biased, racially motivated individuals, in positions of power. And
that said, it's hard as an actor to sort of have a judgment of a character that you have to inhabit for a few months while shooting this movie. So was it difficult for you to sort of inhabit this racist character while at the same time not judging him, so you could sort of portray him?
Yeah,
that person doesn't judge themselves. They think that they're right all the time.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the scariest thing about it. I think looking into the kind of thought structures that inform racist behavior, it's a bunch of mythology. It's built on a bunch of lies and mistruths. A subversion of reality, actually, that a non-white person is an inherent threat to you. It's actually a subversion of the truth, because historically we've seen that white people have been a threat to non-white people. So it's a subversion of reality. It's built on
supremacy for the most
propaganda,
part.
Exactly, and it's kind of systematically oppressed. Major groups of people for a very, very long time indeed. So looking into that was scary, uncomfortable, and you kind of have to embrace ignorance and be prepared to sort of build a character on, a foundation of lies. But, that's what I had to do for that limited period of time. And, the double-edged sword factor being part of this film was I was surrounded by some of the most affecting performances I'd seen, period. So for that not to kind of penetrate through was quite difficult, because these guys were just incredible. But I was glad to wash myself of the character once the filming was done, for sure.
How long did you have to inhabit the character? How long was the shoot for you?
We kind of you had the longest shoot time. It was roughly 3 months, but you would have had the longest shoot time, right?
And what was it like? You said 3 weeks in the house, right? Was that the extent of the Algiers Hotel element of it was about 3 weeks? What was it like shooting that stuff for 3 weeks? Because that is some of the most intense storytelling, performances, direction that I've ever been witness to in the theater. I mean, it's horrifying.
Yeah, that was so we shot that in the first 2 weeks of shooting the whole movie. We got in there and Kaitlyn threw us right in the fire with that.
That was the first two.
The first thing we shot. She's like, "Okay, guys, you ready? Here." But that was physically draining, emotionally draining, mentally draining. Specifically, just hearing those words being said to you, that and kudos to Will and all the other cops, Ben O'Toole and Jack Randall, because after every take, they were making sure that we were all right. And they were checking up on us and really showing love, because we had to establish that relationship. But that was literally the hardest part of shooting the whole movie. Getting lightheaded every day, feeling like I'm nauseous, because I'm having to scream in this room every day and exude so much energy and yell and breathe, hyperventilate breathing, and thinking about all these things, my family, in ways that I didn't want to think about. So it was just that was the most challenging part of shooting the whole film for me.
Every time she called cut, did you apologize? Well, was it like cut?
Every
and you're
time.
like, I'm so sorry.
Every time he did.
It's
Every
my
time.
character. It's not me.
He
I'm
said, "You
sorry."
good, man? I love you. You all right?"
At
I was
the
like, "Yeah,
end
but
of
you was
every
just
day.
saying some crazy shit." No.
Kaitlyn, what about you? The 3 weeks in the hotel. I can't believe this is the first thing you guys shot.
Yeah, no, I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. I remember the first time the very first scene that I shot with Catherine and all of these guys, we were all in one room, and this is just to talk about the way Catherine works. I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be like a really long scene to shoot, and it's gonna take forever, and we're all in this one room, there's like 8 of us, and then there's 3 camera guys, and Catherine just told us to just go wherever we wanted to, which was so crazy for an actor, because I've never gotten the opportunity to just be like, okay, I want to go talk to that guy across the room and whenever I want to. And she just kind of picked up things, and everything was different. but it was actually like, that was really helpful in shooting the intense scenes because she put all of her trust in us.
It's such a fascinating way to work, especially for her, because her style has really changed over the course of her filmmaking career. If you look back at Point Break, it's hyper stylized and it's beautifully made, but it's hyper stylized and controlled. And seems to have slowly moved into this period of like docu filmmaking where she's just letting you guys, seems like, run around while she captures it.
I feel like that makes it more authentic, and especially for the viewer, when you see that camera kind of trying to focus in and going up and down, like you feel like you're there rather than just a still image the whole time. I can feel like I'm in there with them. So I feel like she does perfect. Like she's so perfect at getting those little details and those little things that make you feel like you're in the story.
Are you guys improvising a fair amount of the time too?
Improv a lot.
There's a heavy amount of improv that went into it, and a lot of the scenes she left open so that we could kind of make an organic performance and make it feel as real as possible to ourselves and to the viewers. But one of the most beautiful things about this style of filmmaking that she has now is I really feel like she's hit her stride, man. She tries to capture moments, whereas most of the projects that I've been on, people try to create moments, and she lets us live in them. And the viewers get to see it, and they get to live in it as well. And it's all through the style of shooting, the style of directing, and like giving us license to do what we want to with the scenes.
JoJo just created Kaitlyn's tagline: "She captures moments, not creates."
I think she has a tagline, and it's Oscar winner.
That one too. That could work too.
So the movie, has come out. What is it like watching? Actually, first off, let me ask: have you guys met any of the people who were involved in the original incident?
Yeah, so I was blessed enough to have a chance to meet Larry, the actual guy that I portrayed. I didn't get to meet him until the end of shooting the whole movie, which was kind of crazy to me, but it was genius the way Kaitlyn did it, because if I would have met him, then I would have tried to study him and tried to get everything that he does and try to do certain things, but it was just
older man now. He's probably a much different man than
he's an older man, but he still got young energy. Like, it's crazy. Like, he still got all the swag, everything. He came out on stage at the premiere the other day, it was just like... But it was a blessing. I sat there and talked to him for like 3 hours. When he first opened his house door and he saw me, he just bust out laughing. And he was like, "You got the swag. You gonna play me real good. They did good on you." But he was showing me. He let me feel the crack in the skull still, and he showed me all the gashes on his body, and he showed me old pictures and he sat down at the piano at his house and he played, and we talked for like 3 or 4 hours and just had a heart-to-heart conversation. So it was a blessing for me to be able to meet him.
Yeah. Kaitlyn?
I didn't actually get the chance to meet my character, but we had Julie, the real Julie, on set with us every day, which was such a blessing. I mean, having her there was so great because she didn't really, I could go up to her for anything, but she was also so comforting and really, really supportive, but was so open about giving any information that we wanted, but also just like super, super cool. And I could go on about her. She was just so brave, and I could go on about Julie. She was incredible. She was incredible, but we had her on set with us.
No, Will, I don't imagine you developed a relationship with your character prior, during, or after filming.
Yeah, my characters are kind of a composite of a couple of different police officers who are present on the scene. I hesitate to even use the term police officer because I think those individuals would have been, violent, racist, and destructive, whatever uniform they wore. It's just incredibly unfortunate that they were put in that position. But I didn't meet any of the people my character was based on. No.
What kind of research did you do before going into it in terms of police brutality, policing, and the kind of personalities that people find in situations like this?
The statistics are shocking. During the time of the film, the police force was 95% white, and Detroit was approaching 40% African-American at the time, so a massive racial bias there. Antagonistic arrest practices were like even more commonplace than they are now. In a federal study, 45% of the police force were discovered to be extremely anti-black, was the report. But that's a federal study, so you can imagine that those statistics are probably inaccurate. It was probably a great deal higher than that. So the fear and the lack of safety that must have been experienced by non-white groups living in Detroit at that point is just insufferable, and that really does speak to the reason for the rebellion. I think people were pushed to the brink, and they were left with no other option.
Occupied city.
Right.
Very similar to Ferguson a couple of years ago, a mostly white police force that was dominating a predominantly African American town, and also arresting people and throwing out tickets to basically make the money for the force. So they were just sort of oppressing this already poor community. And there was a slight rebellion, not as big as Detroit, but yeah, I mean, there are echoes of Ferguson all over Detroit, and I think that's one of the intentions of the film. Was that? Did you ever have that conversation with Kaitlyn and Mark?
Yeah, Kaitlyn. We had that conversation a lot. She constantly brought that up as her inspiration for this. But
in the opening sort of context that's presented for Detroit over the animation, like right away that echoes the story of Ferguson.
There's so many parallels in this. I feel like what happens today, specifically with Carl's character. I don't want to give anything away, but we see a complete parallel from, like Laquan McDonald, and we see all this, like, everything is, like, similar. It's, like, happening the same exact way over this 50 years of time, so.
Yeah. Let's get some questions from the audience right here.
Hey there. Storm on WBKS1 Radio. Were you guys familiar with the story before the role was brought to you?
I had known about the rebellion that happened in '67. I think most of us did, but typically events like this, like what happened at the Algiers, which is what we focus on, they get swept under the rug. And I didn't have the opportunity or the privilege to learn about what happened in this specific instance. And through doing this film, and hopefully everyone else through watching it, like, these stories are finally getting light and they're finally being heard.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Shamaya. My question is for the whole cast. How was it like having the premiere in Detroit at the Fox Theater, right in the thick of it? And then a question specifically for Will. What's your favorite Kendrick song?
Yo, I've done a lot of interviews over the last. That might be my favorite question. I mean, I'll say first and foremost, I'll let you guys add to it. But I think for us to be in Detroit, take the story home, and first show it to Detroiters for whom this is a very personal story, was incredibly special. And it was absolutely right that we did that. This film wouldn't have even happened had it not been for the many generous contributions of Detroiters to the story. They literally opened their homes to the researchers, to the filmmakers. And, since going back to Detroit, one of the big sort of marks of achievement for us, I think, as a team, is to see Detroit, for the most part, accept this story, and they feel like we've represented this painful moment in history, accurately and with respect. And even more kind of incredible was to meet the Chief of Police, James Craig, the Chief of the Detroit Police Department. He's an African-American man. He's now in charge of the most diverse police department in the country, and he's considering making Detroit required viewing for all police officers, which is insane. And that just speaks to the progress that Detroit's made. Police brutality is not part of the future as far as he's concerned, or the Detroit Police Department, so that's cool. And my favorite song is High Power by Kendrick Lamar.
High Power.
How did it feel premiering the film there for you guys?
For me, it was a little different because I'm from Michigan, so I'm from Saginaw, Michigan. So it just felt like I had all my family there, and we was being ratchet, and my aunties and my cousins. I was crying the whole time, but it was just to be there. It felt like home, but it felt like giving back, and that's what felt good to those people that, like Will said, didn't have a voice, and a lot of those people were actually present in the room, and so to be able to give that story back to them and give them a voice to millions of people to tell the truth, and to those families that never got heard, and the injustice that was done to them, and they had to live with that for over 50 years of the world never knowing the truth about how their child got killed. And so for me, that was just, the energy in that room was just crazy. Like, in that Fox Theater, was like 2,200 people in there, and you could hear a pin drop.
Is that the first time you saw the film?
No, that was like the 4th time, but I cried like it was the first
So
time.
I have to ask, so because you guys hadn't really seen the script while most of it was filming, I don't want to give anything away about the ending, but did you know it was going to end on the frame that it ended on before you saw it for the first time? Did she tell you?
No, she didn't tell me anything. She didn't tell me nothing.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty powerful image for the story, and I imagine for a young actor, like, holy shit, I can't believe she just did that. What was that like when you saw that?
I was crying, so I couldn't really, get myself.
Couldn't really see it.
Yeah, I couldn't really see it because I had
Me
tears,
too, bro.
But it was, like I said, man, I couldn't have asked for this. You know what I'm saying? That's how I just know that this role that I play in this is bigger than just a film or entertainment. That all of us play in this, or just music. This is something that will affect generations, and I believe that. And like Will is saying, redirect the course of police brutality in the future. And I feel like this is just I don't know what my role is after this, but I know it's, I'm just open-minded and here for it, and I just thank Kaitlyn for taking a chance on all of us for this.
Absolutely. I think we have time for one more question right here.
Hi, guys. First off, you all did an amazing job in the movie. It's one of the most powerful cinematic masterpieces I've seen this year that left me torn in the theater and on my way back home. And I learned so many different things from experiences. So I wanted to know, what did you guys learn from after filming and experiencing the movie for the first time?
Me personally, when we were doing, I didn't try to do a lot of research during the film because I wanted to stay in the place Kaitlyn wanted to keep me. It was just like in the unknown. But after we wrapped the film, there was a host of research that we did as far as learning about how many rebellions actually took place within these 4 or 5 years. There was over like 350 rebellions that took place. So it just gives you a sense of the energy that was in the United States. People were extremely fed up. It's like they tried to hold it in for a certain while and deal with it, but it was just like, you know what, screw it, we're done with it. So for me, it was just a complete learning experience after the film. I went and caught back up with everything. Like Will was saying, we learned about the police force, how back then it was like, what do you say, like 95% white. Today it's like 45% black. And so it's like everything is elevating. And there was a quote, and I'll end on this. There was a quote in our research that we were doing that says, back in the day, there were men fighting to protect their communities. Now there's mothers fighting to protect their sons. And so it's just learning a lot about the differences in between those 50 years and then the difference that we can make in the part that we play in this. So.
Guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's an incredible achievement. Congratulations on the performances and a really amazing film. It's out in select cities right now, and I think it expands to everywhere this Friday, right? Yeah.
True. August 4th, it's out everywhere.
Guys, go see it in the theater as well. Don't wait for it. It's a theatrical experience. Detroit, thanks so much, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.